Hi, welcome to Best in Tesla. So I hear a lot, we're just waiting for the affordable EV. But that is already here, but you don't want to buy it because it's not good enough, and I will show you that in this video. But a good affordable EV is coming, but it might come at the same time as another disruptive technology that would make the affordable EV look like the rich man's game. So this might also be why Elon did not want to talk about the $25,000 car at the earnings call. As he said, Tesla is not currently working on the $25,000 car, but it does not mean it's dead. As he also said, we will make it at some point. But as Elon also said, when people kept asking about the $25,000 car, it appears from the questions that the gravity of full self-driving is not fully appreciated. And that is an understatement. And remember, as he said back in 2020, about 3 years from now, we are confident we can make a very compelling $25,000 electric vehicle that's also fully autonomous. I think this is what Tesla is aiming for. Also, the way Elon and others from Tesla has talked about full self-driving lately, it seems like they're getting really confident about the full self-driving program. So maybe Tesla has realized they will solve a full self-driving at about the same time they will come out with a $25,000 car. But that has huge implications and will not just be an affordable EV for the middle class, but meaning transportation for all. So let's talk about what an affordable EV is, in my opinion, and your opinion, please. I would really like to know. So let's dive right in. So, when we're talking about an affordable EV, most people only mention the price. But if that is the only criteria you have, the affordable EV is already here. In China, we already have a $10,000 EV like this one from Geely. But even here in Europe, we have an EV like the Dacia Spring that costs here in Denmark about 140,000 Danish crowns, so about $20,000. And since cars in Denmark is about 28% more expensive than in the US, if that car would ever be sold in the US, it would probably cost about $14,000, to give you an idea of what the cost of this EV is if you live in the US. So a truly affordable EV. And it's being sold here in Europe right now. This is not a future thing. But people would probably not want this car because most people do have other criteria than just the price. And this car does not really check off any other boxes than the price. First of all, it has only got 1 star in Europe's NCAP safety rating. So yeah, nothing I will put my children in anyway. And a top speed of blazing 125 kilometers an hour. A 0 to 100 kilometers in an unbelievable 19 seconds. No, I didn't say 9 seconds. I said 19 seconds. I can accelerate faster on my bike than this car. And if you upgrade to the Plus model, you will get Dacia's huge 7-inch touchscreens with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It can charge with only 50 kilowatt charging, just like the Chevy Bolt. And the range is 230 kilometers WLTP, so about 125 miles EPA. So yeah, this might be an affordable EV, but not something most people would like. When Tesla said a compact EV for $25,000, people were thinking and talking about a little hatchback like the ID.3, but that car cost about the double here in Denmark, like $50,000, and if it comes to the US, it will probably be somewhere around $36,000. So the size and maybe even the specs would be good enough for affordable EV, but the price is not. One that might get close on price and specs could be the little Peugeot E208. It is a bit smaller than the ID.3, so maybe it's a bit too small, but the price is about $35,000 here in Denmark, so that will probably cost about $25,000 in the US. So there you go, the $25,000 EV is here. So what do you get for that price here in 2022? Well, the range is 362 kilometers WLTP, so about 200 miles EPA, 100 kilowatts of charging, top speed 150 kilometers an hour, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 8.2 seconds. And the latest Peugeot 208 that was checked at Europe NCAP got 4-star safety rating, so definitely much better than the Dash here anyway. So not a totally bad EV that you will get here for $25,000 if you could get it in the US. But is this what you think of when you're talking about the affordable EV? Is this a good enough EV? Please let me know in the comments below. What is your expectation when you're talking about the affordable EV? Well, my expectation for the $25,000 EV is a bit higher than what we will get with the Peugeot E208. What I would like is an EV with about 300 miles of range EPA and 250 kilowatts of charging. And I don't really care too much about the top speed and acceleration because this is just an affordable EV. If you want the fast one, well, you have to pay more, of course, and just buy the Model 3 or whatever. So this is my expectations for Tesla's $25,000 cars. It's about range and charging speeds because that is also what most people that buy EVs are looking for. And I do think Tesla will be able to deliver on this thanks to the 4680 cells and their advancement in the production of a car. Tesla has a 262 miles range Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive, and that is on only 50 kilowatt hours of batteries. So what will the 4680 cell be able to make a smaller compact hatchback do? Well, we know that the battery should give Teslas a 54% more range and the price should decrease with 56%. So in theory, the Model 3 with a 50 kilowatt hour battery of 4680 cells instead of the 2170 cells should give the car 54% more range. So that would mean that the Tesla Model 3 with the 262 miles of range would suddenly be able to do 400 miles of range. And when we consider that the little compact Tesla do not need to have the performance of 0 to 100 in 4 or 5 seconds, but maybe just 6 or 7 or 8 seconds, they should be able to get even more range out of the car. And of course, the new car will be smaller and therefore lighter, also giving more range. So I do think a 50 kilowatt hour battery with the 4680 cells in the compact Tesla would easily give the car 400 miles of range. But my idea of the compact car is that it will only have 300 miles of range, so about 25% less. So we could probably put in 25% less kilowatt hours of batteries in the Tesla with the new 4680 cells and get to those 300 miles of range. So we could probably do this with only 38 kilowatt hours of battery in the car. Or if we say, well, Tesla is okay with the Tesla Model 3 with only 262 miles of EPA range. Why shouldn't they be okay with a little compact car with about 250 miles of range? Well, then Tesla might only need about 30 kilowatt hours of batteries, give or take. And if Tesla is able to cut their battery price by 56%, as they have said, we are talking about maybe $1,500 for that battery in that compact car. That is not much compared to Tesla's Model 3 with the 50 kilowatt hours of batteries that cost Tesla about $5,400 today. So the battery will no longer be the big money consumer for Tesla anymore. Now it's just how cheaply can they actually produce a car. And we know this car will probably be made in a whole new factory in China that is more advanced than both Berlin and Texas, will of course use giga casting, and the car will be smaller, it will be less complex, probably not have automatic lift gates and so on and so on. But of course, it will still have Tesla's safety as well. So I do think it will be possible for Tesla to make an affordable $25,000 car with 250 plus miles of range that can be charged with 250 kilowatt, making the charging really quick since it only has 30 kilowatt hours of batteries to be charged. And I think this is what everybody is thinking of when they say, I'm waiting for the affordable EV. They're not thinking about their Dacia Spring, but thinking about an EV with these kinds of specs for that price. But maybe this will all not matter. When we're talking about an affordable EV that costs $25,000, we will probably laugh in 5 to 10 years from now because of TaaS. Transport as a service, as someone like Tony Seba has talked a lot about. Because owning a car might become something the rich people do, or companies that own their own vehicles, even the $25,000 car. For the most part anyway, there will of course be some edge cases, but transport will become so cheap that everyone will be able to transport themselves with a car, but more like a taxi where you have a private chauffeur. And that is all because of Tesla's robotaxis. I have no doubt that Tesla will solve it. The question is more like, when will they solve it? But I think we are very close. And that is why maybe the $25,000 car is not going to matter as much as people think. As Elon said, it is apparent that the gravity of full self-driving is not appreciated. What did Elon mean by that? Well, maybe the $25,000 car will also come out as a full self-driving robotaxi as well, as Elon said it would. And that means that maybe you can drive in your Tesla, you just summon, not own, and that will make the $25,000 Tesla suddenly seems very expensive, because the cost of a robotaxi drive could be as little as 18 cents per mile. That is Elon's guess anyway, and Tony Seba's guess is between 10 to 20 cents per mile, so they're pretty close here, but maybe even cheaper than what Elon is predicting. But that means if you live in San Francisco, there would pretty much not be a single place within San Francisco that would cost you more than a couple of bucks to get to. And remember, it only took someone like Uber 8 years to go from absolutely nothing to stand for 20% of all VMT, vehicles miles traveled. Yep, disruptions happens fast. And in the second quarter of 2019, the cheapest ride-sharing service in the US was Uber, with an average cost of just over $25 per ride. And it took off like a disruptive technology, but that is very expensive compared to what is coming. If you live like 5 miles from your work, you will be able to drive there, but still use your time to do some productive things on the way and come back for about $2 a day. And if you work about 220 days a year, that's about $240 a year. That is less than half the price that some of my former colleagues paid for parking a year to park near their work. They paid about $1,200 for parking per year, and just for parking at their work. But let's try to use the average driving an American does. That is about 40 miles per day. That would be about $8 a day for 365 days. That is almost $3,000 a year. So it will take 8 years before you even get to the sticker price of the so-called affordable EV with a price of $25,000. And then you have to put on top of that price the little maintenance there will be even on an EV, like a couple of extra tires, windscreen wipers, air filters, and of course the insurance, parking in general, and the price for charging. You don't have to pay or worry about any of these things anymore when we get transport as a service. Like you hear many people that are living in apartments. But how do we charge overnight when we are living in the big city? Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore when we have full self-driving cars. You don't have to worry about charging ever again. The car will take care of all of that. So for people who are living in urban areas, I think this would be a very attractive solution. And that is about 50% of the world's population and is only expected to grow. So maybe it will not work for you and your situation, but for the majority of the planet, it probably will. And as Tony Seba has said, there has never been anything that suddenly will be 10 times cheaper than before and has not taken off as a disruptive technology. And this will probably increase the amount of car we need on a global scale anyway, and not decrease as Tony thinks, because now suddenly everyone can afford a car or subscribe to a car. And everyone will be able to drive a car because you are no longer driving. So disabled people can have a car, blind people can have a car, even kids can have access to cars. And not just the rich kids, but almost everyone on the planet will be able to afford transport as a service, on-demand transport. Because not only will it be up to 10x cheaper to have transport on demand than owning a car, but it will be up to 4 times cheaper than just the maintenance of the ICE car you already own. So when we get full self-driving cars, you will see people simply just throwing their old ICE cars away. They are going to be worthless because it will be up to 4 times cheaper to ride in a new, silent, non-toxic, nice Tesla taxis, while you can even get some work done, than if you just maintain your old polluting ICE car, and of course still have to sit in traffic jam and scream of all the other drivers because you still have to drive yourself. Who is going to want to pay 4 times more for that? Some probably will, but I don't think that will be the majority. So this is also going to be yet another big accelerator for the collapse of the ICE industry. Not just the ICE to EV switch, but autonomy is going to simply destroy it. So when do you think we will have level 5 autonomy? Because that will be the end of the ICE car. So what is an affordable EV? Well, that is an EV on demand. We might have a good $25,000 EV in a couple of years, but we might also have the first full self-driving robotaxis in a couple of years as well. And they will slowly take over transport in the big cities and long-haul transportation and so on, and spread to every corner of the world, bringing transport to every level of society. As Elon said, the gravity of this is not understood. This is probably why he didn't want to talk about a $25,000 car, because it will not matter when Tesla have solved the full self-driving car. It will change Tesla completely. But not just Tesla, this will change so much in our society. The implication goes far beyond the car industry. According to someone like Tony Seba, Rethink estimate that every US household will save about $5,600 per year from owning a car to using transport as a service. That means that in the US, disposable income will increase about $1 trillion. This will be one of the biggest boosts the US economy has ever had. And on top of that, the US would get a productivity increase because of the time saved, because people no longer have to waste time driving, which will be worth another $1 trillion. So just try to imagine what this will do to the world's economy. This will change everything. So the truly affordable EV, the EV on demand, will boost your economy, but also your country's economy and the world's economy, and will mean transportation for all. Yep, I agree with Elon here. It is apparent that the gravity of full self-driving is not fully appreciated. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.